Jamie Iceman Stevenson ordered a notorious dealer to flood the streets with blue plague pills from his Breaking Bad style drugs factory as he used a top secret chat network to run a multi-million-pound narcotics empire. An investigation by the Scottish Sun has revealed how Scotland's #1 gangster urged Lee Docherty to take delivery of 500,000 tablets of street Valium while commanding lackeys over the EncroChat encrypted phone service. 60-year-old Stevenson used the moniker Elusive Ale and advised Docherty, who was known as Renegade Ball or Golden Shark, to work them in the scheme and boasted of a massive difference in pill quality. The exchanges in April 2020 came in the year Scots drug-related deaths soared to a record 1,339, with the etazolum tablets implicated in more than 800 fatalities. Docherty from Gourock in Renfrewshire was then running a drug supermarket. He was joined by brother-in-law Ian Miller, who was said to be one of his most trusted recruits, who posted on EncroChat as Sarcastic Flamingo. Also involved were Brendan Gillen, known as Unreal Egg, plus his dad Daniel Gillen, who's 63, identified on the texting platform as Warm Hale, and 45-year-old Christopher McKellar, whose ID was Mur Celtic. They raked in thousands selling heroin, cocaine and cannabis, plus Mr. Big Stevenson's street Valium, from a barricaded squalid pad in Larkfield in Greenock. Meanwhile, Stevenson's crew pumped out 258,000 pills every hour from the factory on an industrial estate in Rochester in Kent. His stepson, Jerry Carbon, used the name Lucid Fudge and was tasked with overseeing production and packaging. The 46-year-old paid Ryan McPhee, who's 35, £1,000 for every million pills he helped transport and store. Another of Stevenson's lackeys, John Goory, who's 42, known as either Surreal Key or Aquatic Ring, remained in contact with McKellar from the Greenock gang. They chatted on their encrypted phones about purchasing and collecting drugs, with tops code for cocaine and paper for money. Meanwhile, Iceman lackey Paul Bowes, who's 54, known on the Hood's messaging network as Hollow Butter or Silver Jaguar, was entrusted with sorting the supply of drugs from the base down south to Docherty. But the plots became unstuck when codebreakers working for French and Dutch authorities hacked EncroChat and swept up millions of clues which were handed to crime fighters across Europe. Thousands of gangsters across the continent went on to be snared. Scots mobsters were soon in their sights of the FBI-style National Crime Agency as it launched Operation Venetic to capitalise on the vast data haul. Officers from the NCA and the Metropolitan Police raided Stevenson's factory on the 12th of June 2020. They discovered pill-making machinery and a staggering £400,000 haul of almost 13.5 million etazolum tablets, stamped Roch 10. On the same day, Stevenson was arrested by plainclothes officers after a meeting with associates held at the Sherbrooke Castle Hotel in Pollokshields in Glasgow. It emerged that Carbon, using the alternative alias of Special Smith, took to EncroChat to warn Bowes they would both be nicked. He said evidence on Stevenson's phone leads straight back to me. Crime fighters also searched Goory's East Kilbride home and vehicle, uncovering a £1.4 million cocaine stash. When he got the motor back, he messaged a mystery EncroChat user known as Patrol Staff, saying van was ripped to bits, front passenger seat panels ripped off. The crackdown continued as officers raided sites linked to Docherty's mob in December 2020. A wave of prosecutions and incarcerations has since rocked Stevenson's vast underworld network. The kingpin tried to weasel his way out of a lengthy prison stretch by blaming 4 other gangsters as he went on trial over a £100 million scheme to smuggle cocaine from Ecuador inside banana boxes. He launched a special defence of incrimination at the High Court in Glasgow, naming fellow mobsters James the Don White plus Goory and co-accused Lloyd Cross. But the idea collapsed when Cross, known to Hoods and EncroChat as Shaggy Goat, admitted his role in the plot on the eve of the trial. The court heard how Cross had chatted with Elusive Ale about purchasing a fruit market business from accomplice David Billsland, who went by the name Trendy Mutant. They then used the firm as a front for the massive narcotics smuggling operation. The court was told how intelligence gathered by Scots cops from the EncroChat sting was the biggest evidence haul in the force's history. Detective Constable Paul Graham, who was part of Police Scotland's cybercrime unit for a decade and had 24 years' experience, told the court it was the most information in any single police inquiry Police Scotland has ever seen. Stevenson, who also used the name Big Tasty, pleaded guilty midway through the trial last August as evidence piled up against him. The gangster of Rutherglen near Glasgow was sentenced to 20 years in prison, although 4 years were knocked off on appeal. That came months after the Greenock crew of Docherty, Miller, the Gillans and McKellar were jailed for a total of 31 years after admitting involvement in serious organised crime. Docherty had 9 years added to his stretch after he admitted killing pals David Beaton, Manver Benning, both 27, and Mark Downey, 31, in a high-speed M8 crash near Bishopton in Renfrewshire. Glasgow High Court heard how the dealer's hired Audi Q7 plunged down an embankment and flipped over after he fell asleep at the wheel in September 2021. Meanwhile, in November that year, Goory was sentenced to 6 years in jail after admitting supplying cocaine.